pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody, welcome to the Board of Trustees work session for June 25th. Mayor Epley is away for the week, so as the deputy dog, I'm the pinch hitter for tonight. So with that, we'll go into any public comment. Anybody sign up? Okay. Nobody sign up for public comments, or anybody in the audience want to public comment? Nope. Okay. And we'll go on to election
results.
Election results.
Friday. Close call across the board. For Mayor Epley, he received 161 votes. Trustee McGann, 148. William Hattrick, 162. And Proposition 1, which is the increasing annual LoSAP program from $20 a month to $30 a month, was passed at a margin of 149 to 31. In total turnout was 172 voters.
Well, congratulations, guys, on a very hard-fought campaign.
And clean.
And clean.
Just could have been.
Congratulations. With that, then, we'll move into board presentations. And this evening, we have a presentation from the SAVE Committee. Come up and address yourselves, please.
Good evening to everyone and trustees. Sue Dubner on behalf of the SAVE Committee. And tonight, once again, we at SAVE come before you with a proposal that encourages our village to do the right thing for us all. We know we're all deeply wedded to our vehicles, and we spend significant portions of our day in them as work adjuncts and methods of transportation. And this is a fact of modern life. Tonight, we ask you, our trustees, to vote to institute a policy that will encourage us all to be more responsible in the use of our vehicles. The change we encourage you to institute is a simple and yet potent one. Adopt an anti-idling policy in our village to be modeled by our own village-owned vehicles and employees, and to be encouraged for all others who drive and idle on our streets, in our parking lots, at our trains and bus stations, and at school, bus, pickup, and drop-off locations. This is a tiny, simple change, but one that makes all the sense in our village and in the world. Turn off your engine if you are stopped. Do not let your car idle. By doing this, you're doing the right thing for our community and will profit both figuratively and literally. And interestingly enough, as an aside, I just returned from Spain yesterday, and my husband and I rented a vehicle there, and we left the airport and got on the motorway, and then finally got to the little town we were going to and got off the motorway, and we had to stop to go into a roundabout, and the car stopped. My husband said, "Oh no! The car stalled." I said, "No, I don't think so. I think in Europe, this happens automatically." And sure enough, all you do is step on the gas and the engine re-engages. Why should you turn off your engine rather than idle? That's the question that is important to answer. Idling has a cost, and that cost is greater than you might expect. Leaving your engine running while not in motion has significant implications for us all. First of all, idling impacts air quality. Idling contributes to air quality issues, including unhealthy levels of fine particulate matter, ground-level ozone, and toxic air contaminants. These contaminants can enter buildings through air intakes, doors, and windows. Personnel working in transportation yards in bus locations, or anywhere that engines idle are disproportionately affected by this unhealthy environment. And surprisingly, one of the places that vehicles often idle is outside of schools, and those vehicles are cars of parents and other people picking up youngsters, and buses. And that air can collect and seep right into the schools. Cleaner air improves the quality of life for us all, and cleaner air raises our green profile as a village, encouraging other positive behaviors. So let's improve our air quality in our village with an anti-idle policy. Idling also impacts our health. Idling is linked to increases in serious diseases such as allergies, asthma, heart and lung disease, and cancer. Children, again, are most vulnerable to the effects of idling. Idling releases more than 40 hazardous air pollutants and carcinogens. Exposure increases the risk of respiratory disease and cancer, and exposure aggravates chronic conditions such as asthma and bronchitis. So let's protect the public health of our village with an anti-idling policy. And idling costs impact us directly and indirectly. Idling uses more fuel than restarting your engine when you idle for longer than 10 seconds. And that's the default in a European car. If you're stopped for 10 seconds, the engine shuts off, you step on the gas, it restarts. Excessive idling can actually damage engine components, including cylinders, spark plugs, and exhaust systems. Idling can reduce the operation life of engine oil by 75%. 10 minutes of idling a day uses more than 27 gallons of gas a year. 5 minutes of idling a day uses 3.5 million gallons of gas daily for our nation, and this translates to 40,000 tons of carbon dioxide released. And 5 minutes of idling a day costs our nation billions in gallons of gas annually and releases 13 million tons of CO2 annually. So let's help save our village and its residents and visitors the dollars they would have spent on fuel and maintenance expenses by implementing an anti-idle policy in our village. We will not be alone in our efforts. The town has recently taken this step. 13 U.S. states have anti-idle laws, and Canada, Japan, and Great Britain all have national anti-idling initiatives and campaigns. It's easy to do. It's a win-win strategy. We improve our health and environment while saving money and wear and tear on our vehicles. And it's the right thing to do for Jay, for us all, and for the future. And so now let's take a closer look at the specifics of the policy we suggest. And Mackie Finnerty will go through that.
Good evening. I'm Mackie Finnerty from the SAFE Committee. First, I wanted to tell you how much cooperation we had with the town on this. They just went through this whole process, and they spent 3 years on it. So Tom Neely, who has been fabulous to work with and has given us a lot of time and energy and a promise to help us further using their facilities and artwork and so on to help keep our costs down, since they've already been through this whole thing. It's important that we're asking for policy, not a law, because you can imagine the enforcement is a little bit difficult. And first, you certainly need the education part of it. Because just all of us working on this, we're now so aware of every time we idle, just thinking about it. And when you sit for 5 minutes as you're trying to enter 39, you can certainly turn your engine off. So what our plan is that hopefully after you pass it, that we've worked with Gary Gillespie, and we've had several conversations with him about this, and he's favorable to it, that he would inform all the village employees who drive vehicles. He said we currently have 200 vehicles, about 50 of which are in operation at any given time, because it's all kinds of equipment from lawnmowers, but all things that burn gas and are often left on. The current price of gas that the village is paying, he said roughly right now is about $3 for regular gas, $4 for diesel. And he said because we have this new way of keeping track of the gas, that now you can actually track the vehicles and track the department that's spending them. He said that should be very helpful in letting us know how well this is working or if we're getting any cooperation or not. We thought that the employees should care about it because it will save quite a bit of money, and it might save their job someday, or at the very least have some money for overtime. What we like to do, it's important to note that there will be exceptions to this as decided by the village. There are certain kind of vehicles we understand have to be kept running because of the expensive kind of equipment that can't be shut down. So it's broadly stated in the policy that whoever knows about those vehicles will make decisions and can ask for an exemption from it. We would like to then have a meeting of village employees or some way of getting everybody on board for this and telling the rationale for this and how it will help the village, help themselves, help the air. We would like to post signs, and this is what the town has been doing. I don't know if you've seen them. And this is the sign that turn your engine off, idle free zone, and they worked on this for a long time. They have offered to have their art people insert our insignia up here and our address down here. And you can see this for the television. It's quite an attractive sign, we thought, and we didn't see any real need to rework it. We thought they had done really quite a good job. It's a sign you'll definitely notice and is different from the rest. They have already put signs at all the train stations except ours, because as it turns out, it's the only station that the town doesn't control the land around. So we will have to put it up at our train station. But they wanted to, but they said they didn't have the authority to do that. So we think we can. There's a lot of idling goes on down there, if you've ever noticed. Everybody just sits with their motor on while they're waiting for the trains to come and go. And some of the things that Sue had mentioned, certainly village parking lots. The beaches are a place where people pull up and idle for long periods of time looking at our beautiful ocean. Taxi stands, luxury buses, they're idling all the time. Schools while the parents are waiting. Also private employees, Verizon lots, a lot of the warehouse lots in the industrial section of town. So trucks pull up, they leave them on, they go in, they do what they're doing. This is, of course, an education effort that we'll have to go around and talk to all these people about. We thought we'd also go into the schools because that's how things do get changed. When children become aware of it, they'll bug their parents like, turn it off, you're not supposed to idle. So there is a film for the schools, and we want to have some kind of competition like we did with the bag competition. It was very successful, involved hundreds of children in the village. And we would like to do something like that, not the same thing, obviously, but some kind that would involve art or music and a competition with the children to try and involve as many as we can and give out prizes at the end and work with the teachers on that. The cost of the signs we have our own sign company, so does the town, but they can't do these kinds of signs. Ours can only do ones with letters, I think, and numbers, but they can't do any of this kind of stuff. Gary said that cannot. And the town as well, they have a sign shop too, but they put it out to a private sign company to get it the way they want it with the art and so on. The price of a sign is about $15. They bought theirs last fall, so we don't know if there'll be a bit of a difference. Gary estimated that we'd probably need about 50 signs, and so that comes to about $750. Now, they have to go on a post. I think we're all against the proliferation of lots of signs, and so we don't want more signs certainly stuck at the beach impeding your view. So what they did in the town was they put multiple signs on the same post. So where we have a sign now that says don't do this or do that, you can add, they have all those little holes in them. You can just add another sign above or below, or depending on, and you save a lot of money on the posts. The posts are $18, but most of the signs probably won't need new posts, but of course we'll certainly need new posts. If every sign needed post, that would be $900, but we don't anticipate that. Wherever possible, we want it on the same post. And some money, of course, for prizes for the kids, like we did last time. I did get an opportunity to talk to Mark about this. He was very favorable to it, and if I understood him correctly, he has one of those new cars that turns off when he idles. I think that's what he said. Mm-hmm. So he thought it was a good idea for the village, and that's it. We hope that you will pass this, and we will move on working with Gary and other departments that have other things to do on this. Thank you.
Hi, sorry I ran a bit late tonight. I saw you raise your finger when you said we mentioned that cars do shut off automatically. So two of you on that board tonight and that is the future, incidentally. Vehicles will shut down automatically when you idle, and when you put your finger on the gas pedal, they're going to start, right now they start with a little bit of a slight lurch, I'd call it, but almost imperceptible, if you weren't really aware of it.
When is that coming, Roger? Do you know?
What's that?
When will that be coming?
It's within the next 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. 2014. Ford will do it in 2014.
Is that voluntary, or is there already federal legislation saying
Do you know,
I thought mine was voluntary.
I think it's part of the end. Yours is voluntary. It's certainly ahead of its, but you've got a BMW, as does Mark, I think, and so that's their, their programming at the present time. But I want you to think about something, that you can take away when you think just how important is something like this. And that is, when I was about 10 years younger than Brendan, who's over there diligently taking notes for the patch, we used to get my friend's Camaro and cruise through town. And at some point in time, and at some point in the evening, he'd stop at the cheapest gas station. So, all right, everybody fork over some money, and we would take the quarters out of our pockets and fill up his tank.
Well, that was when it was $1 a gallon.
No, it was 29 cents a gallon.
They had Camaros back then?
Huh?
Yeah. We go.
Yeah.
They go a little further back, right?
29
cents a gallon in
I
Northern
remember
Michigan.
that. Maybe.
Yeah. And so we're talking, I just heard that you guys are paying $3 a gallon here in the village for regular. I just paid $3.88 on the North Fork at Valero and thought,
We're not paying anything.
hallelujah. You're not paying, yeah, the taxpayers are paying it. You're right. So here I am, here I'm standing here telling you when I used to pay, 30 cents, and now you're paying $3, 10 times greater within my lifetime. So I don't think the price, is dipping down anytime soon. So this all makes sense, and I think, that's something important to consider, the economic ramifications. And as well as when you're around the schools, you're talking about our children's young lungs. And I think we've got to kind of get that point across. And for people who are accustomed to their cars never shutting off, who come out here to visit us in the summer season, to put up reminders that, if they want this continued fresh air and beauty, we have to be mindful that, here in our village, we do just that. So I think it's good all the way around. And, just like plastic bags. You remember when we started on the plastic bag program and, we're the first in New York State to do that? Well, guess who just passed the same law last week? Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And it was voted down in the state of California, but Los Angeles passed it. And Los Angeles is sort of like, relative to the state of California, they're little Southampton, Mm-hmm. But, you do have to start somewhere with these things. And as it was explained by my committee, it's widespread. So what they can't do at the upper level, we try to do down here at our village level, and we do feel it makes an impact. And since we started working on this program, I am very aware of idling. And as you heard some of the statistics tonight, you might also be much more aware, that a minute of idling is equal to driving a mile in your car. Well, it's just insane. Why would I sit there with a car running? Mile after mile, you might say. So anyway, that's our pitch to you tonight. And I hope you'll seriously consider it and ask us any questions. We have a lot of answers. And if you want to meet with us individually, is this one more pile on your stack, Rick?
Well, this is,
Okay, so Rick's a happy guy. He's been smiling over there for about 15 minutes. He doesn't get one more thing from the Save Committee.
Just a couple quick questions. One, you say it took 3 years with the town. Why did it take that long? What was the?
The initial studying of it, and they have this huge environmental list there, and this was one of the items, and then.
You have to come, I'm sorry, Mackie. She's waving it.
I'm sorry. They were working on a lot of environmental things, and this, it was not clear why it took them so long. They said they spent a really long time on the artwork and getting the signs correct. Also, they applied for a grant, and they got a full grant on theirs. I think their total cost was $5,000, and I think it was.
A grant for the study and the supplies, you mean? All the signs?
Yeah, everything. They said in the end it didn't, and that is something we could try to do. They now, I believe, have lost their grant writer, and I think they might be using ours at some other bases. I'm not sure about that, but they mentioned something like that. So I don't know what the chances are of getting a grant, but it certainly would be worth trying.
And the biggest distinction is it's a policy change, not a.
Absolutely, it's a
law
policy change.
So is that what you're referring to, Rick? That's something that just the board does?
Right.
it's policy, it's not writing a law that has fines and penalties and all that.
Doesn't require a public hearing?
Doesn't require a public hearing.
So it's just a resolution?
And we've written the resolution for you, so you can read it into the record.
It's attached to your.
Gets
Yeah.
attached to your package.
Whereas, yes.
Yeah, a lot of whereases, and then be hereby
Only lawyers
resolved.
wrote whereases.
Huh?
I thought only lawyers wrote whereases.
That's when they couldn't find anything.
Only one page,
Where was it? Oh, here it
First page here.
is. It's a one-pager anyway. It's pretty simple and straightforward.
Any questions or comments from board members? Whereas?
Whereas,
What do you
sounds like a
think,
good
Bill?
idea. Sounds like a good idea. Why not?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
What was gasoline when you had that old roadster out in the road?
See, my memory's gone, so I can only remember back to when I was 65.
He doesn't want to admit it.
And some of it I don't want to remember.
Some of you don't want to remember, right? That's not very kind.
You have anything to say, Nancy, or any?
No.
If everybody is apparently in favor of it, what do we?
Would
I think
be-
it's a very good idea. I think
mean,
it's
the
a
idea is
really
pretty
good
clear in the
beginning. I
fact
think
that-
it'll take people some getting used to it, but at least if you're making them aware of it, they'll make, like, I didn't realize just to idle for that short period of time. I like the car turning off, because somehow you're never going to go over there and turn it off if you're in traffic and turn it back on, but
Takes a little getting used to, though.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a little shocking the first time it
well, annoying was the word I was thinking, but,
Oh, do you have it on your car? Oh, you do? Oh.
And Mark, too. It's coming.
And everybody will get
I would
used
say
to it
within
when it
5
happens.
years, you're going to
But-
see
Yeah, most
the majority of your automobiles that are new have this kind of
Be
technology.
hearing a lot of turning on and turning off.
Yes, a lot more
Oh, you
silence.
don't hear it?
You don't
Okay.
hear anything.
No, not really.
All you realize is your car is stopped, and suddenly you realize
You are
the
going.
motor's off.
oh, I hear it, yeah. Motor
Well,
goes
the
off.
one that we had in Spain, which was a diesel,
Right.
you hear it, it suddenly became quite quiet. But then as soon as you step on the gas, oh.
Sorry.
The car that we had in Spain was a diesel engine, and so you would think it'd be even noisier, but it just, you just realize the engine's off, and then when you step on the gas, it re-engages. So you don't have to do anything, press a button or anything, you just step on the gas, and then the engine re-engages. And I know that Ford is doing it. At least there was a proposal that they would install them as standard equipment on 2014 cars. They probably do it wholesalely in Europe, but
Exactly.
here in the U.S., I think they were targeting 2014. We'll see whether it actually happens, but it'll happen.
And obviously with the town, you go after first anyways, town vehicles, municipal vehicles that are idling along. Now, obviously the ones that would be exempt, as the Chief Cummings is back there, first responder, emergency, police vehicles,
Right,
of
those are
course,
all
that have
accepted.
equipment,
Those are all accepted. But just
Yeah.
in terms of school buses alone,
Right.
if we could change that, in fact, there have been a lot of articles that have come out where towns that they have had they've instituted anti-idling policy where suddenly parents become aware of how long, parents now drive their kids to the bus stop, and they'll sit in the car with the engine running, waiting for the bus. And it could be 2 minutes, but it could also be 8 or 9 minutes. And you have this whole line of vehicles. You go up to Tuckahoe School, you'll have on either side, there are lines of vehicles, and all of those cars are running. And, those emissions go on consistently that entire time. So.
Also, to speak to the point of why did it take the town 3 years, a lot of it also is the research aspect, and we're kind of on the cusp, not at the crest of the wave, but the wave's already just starting to break. But all of this information, like every 10 seconds, if you turn your car off, you've just saved that amount of gas. For 1 mile is 1 minute of idling, all of that information, and then also the information about the toxic consequences of it is becoming more widespread and more known and better available, so that research aspect or time that it took them has been done. So we're writing something that's a good thing. So we don't have to allow that amount of time, and it's all.
No, we can use the
Right.
data already. So have you draft up some form of resolution based on what they provided?
I've got a
here?
resolution right here. If you want to adopt it, all you need to do is resolve that the Board of Trustees hereby adopts the proposed idling reduction policy dated June 25, 2013, as submitted by the SAVE Committee.
And you read through this?
Pardon?
You read through this, so this resolution covers all that we would want to have covered?
Yeah. That's what they're asking you to adopt.
Now, as far as going forward with any type of grant, is it something we do after the fact?
Yeah, we would have to have a proposal first. Yeah, I want, the town board passed this. It was a 5-0 vote. Forgot to say that there was no opposition to this at the town level. And we followed theirs exactly, just changing words we had to change because of the different systems.
You know what I think is so great? When you said that the children are teaching the parents. It's so funny to...
So true.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
Yeah.
And my grandparents are like, don't do that. And it's all environmental stuff they learned at school.
Grandkids, yeah.
And I think I'm on top of it.
It's great.
Yeah. As with our bag program, we're going to roll out an educational program this fall in the schools.
Oh, good.
For this, on purpose. And Linda Talty and Jim Nealon, who's not here tonight, did a great job with some assistance from the rest of us when they needed it, but primarily on their own rolled out that educational program for the bags and in the schools here. And the kids had a lot of fun doing it. They really look forward to us coming into the schools, and they take projects from their teachers. And this has a very science-based, sort of emphasis, and good health and clean air, and frankly, a lot of things we take for granted, that we don't want to lose. So I think you'll find that, kind of do what we did last year, and that'll help spread the word, and the signage is a part of that. If we can get a grant for some of that money, that'd be great. If we can't, it's not a great deal of money. I know in our budget, we could even pay for probably about half of the, proposed cost. Don't nod your head too much. We have a lot of plans for that money, and there's not much of it.
You offered.
Yeah, I offered, yeah. Just trying to put a little carrot out there.
That's right, you keep talking, I figured it's going to come eventually.
Yeah, you knew it was going to come up, right? So anyway, sure, we're always willing to kick in for things that we believe in, such as we did in the bag program. So with that, I'm looking for my outdoorsman over there to make a, propose.
No, I mean, it's a great idea. Obviously, you guys have been ahead of the ball, with every legislation and proposal. So I believe everybody's in agreement that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that, then, I'd like to propose we accept this resolution titled Proposed Idling Reduction Policy, dated June 25, 2013, as presented by the SAVE Committee to Southampton Village Board of Trustees.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Right, good.
Thanks again for your due diligence.
We'll come back and let you know how the rest of the program unfolds when we
Great.
develop it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good
Thank you.
choice.
See with the board presentations, we have no...
So easy, maybe we ought to let them handle the surfboard issue.
Exactly, yeah.
Good idea.
That's a good idea, Bill. It's not that big of an idea.
Bring him back in.
That's right. They can come back and talk in a few minutes. Public hearings, there are none. Communications to the board, none. Suggested
A few resolutions. Item 1, resolved that the reading of the minutes for the public session of June 13th, 2013 be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated June 25th, 2013, totaling $72,577.10, warrant 2 general fund payables, $1,343,710.31, warrant 1 general fund, $6,971.32, warrant 1 trust expense fund, and $26,936.52 trust fund be ordered and approved. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. Discussion? Item 1, G&M Deej, pump motor for the gas storage tank, $1,347.20. G&M Deej, $46,400. The gas buoy system that we approved last in the fall of last year has finally been installed and working. Page 2, Pitney Bowes postage for the fire department, $1,519.99. And rapid recovery, filling onto page 3, $1,050. Towing for May. Testing unlimited, aerial testing for the fire trucks, $1,800. Vince Toomey, legal fees for May, $10,146.21. Page 4, WEW East End Landscaping, irrigation repairs at Bowden Square, $1,750. This was damage caused by Norman Carras for the local safe routes to school. Not the school, the safe traffic calming grant, but that's going to be back charged to them. Steve Zukowski, travel expense for training, $1,313. Swansky. Just so you're paying attention.
Can I just ask you once before we move on?
Sure.
Especially in light of what the Safe Committee was just talking about with gas usage. The new system that we have at DR now, could you just remind us what that is again?
It's a system that we're using IDs on key fobs. So every vehicle, we can track what's being used on that vehicle, and the employees are using their employee ID number to punch in, so you know who's pumping the gas and what vehicles is going into. And we can issue monthly reports. And then the other half of that, it's a gas buoy Verbeer system. The other half of it is a tank monitoring system, so there's any leakage on these tanks that environmental will know about it and avoid. We've had a couple issues with the old system where we've been hit with some minor fines by Suffolk County, which obviously this would alleviate.
Now, the new Van Reader systems are very good.
The last time we were talking about it.
Yep.
When did this actually go in and become fully operational?
About 2-3 weeks ago. All right, warrant 1, general fund, 170 First Neck Lane, SCAR settlement, $10,125.62. 82 M Realty, SCAR settlement, $2,216.49. Air and Gas Technologies, compressor service contract for the garage, for the fire department, $2,147.75. All Data, auto diagnostic renewal program, $1,500. Aldo Andrioli, June 2013 engineering fees. Antler Stephen and Carroll, SCAR settlement, $1,436.60. Aventine Properties, SCAR settlement, $7,737.15. Barnwell House of Tires, tires for the garage, $2,313.16. Page 2, CSE Employment Benefit Fund, June premium, $21,470.32. Page 3, Coastal Fire Systems, fire equipment, $1,115.52. Corazini Asphalt paving of Meadow Lane for $275,928.17. Diamond Holdings, SCAR settlement, $4,230.63. Edward Archer, uniform alterations and parts, $3,586.50 for the fire department. Page 4, Giglioli Eric, SCAR settlement, $1,000.30. Page 5, free payments to Koppel, Martin, and Leistman, all court-ordered judgments on tax settlements, $40,030, $41,743, and $169,498. And LIPA traffic light bill, $1,168.38. Levine, Susan Levine, SCAR settlement, $1,914.76. Login, police software, $1,000. Page 6, marine rescue, ocean kayak for Cooper's Beach, $1,924.70. Page 7, New York State health insurance for July, $235,075.30. O'Shea, Marcinicuk, and Broom, SCAR settlement.
Marcincic.
Marcincic. $19,873.49. I had the Indian reservation on my mind. Rothfield, $1,565.50. Scar Settlement. RS Sales. Park Supplies, $1,065.25. Schroeder and Strom. Scar Settlement, $1,318.79. Sprague, 3,000 gallons of diesel fuel, $9,354.30. Two payments to Suffolk County National Bank for the bond for the refuse truck, $21,841.50, and the equipment serial bond for the building inspector's office, $53,648. Classic FA, East End Mayors and Supervisors Luncheon, $12.20. Verizon Wireless Fire Department phone and iPad, $1,303.72. VFIS Benefits Division LoSAP program for the fire department for 2013-2014 year, $373,456.62. Wells Fargo tax overpayment, $3,134.04. Woolhara Scar Settlement, $5,435.83. Trust warrant, Vertex Water Features, aerators for Lake Agawam, $6,971.32. And second trust warrant, American Self-Pits Pipe Band, 4th of July Parade, $2,200. Banjo Rascals, $12.50 for the parade. Frederick Bertrand Tax Sale Redemption, $2,215.16. Eastern Long Island Pipes, band for the 4th of July Parade, $1,200. Blue Saxon Music for the parade, $3,000. Mother Cabrini High School, $2,900 for the parade. Page 2, Saffron United Pipe Band for the parade, $1,500. Sag Harbor Community Band, $1,000 for the parade. Richard Siegler, expenses for the parade, $1,500. Southampton High School Band, $500. Sunrises Drum Corps, $3,000. And Westchester Brassman Drum, all for the parade, $3,000. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached scheduled budget transfers to eliminate overages for the period May 22nd, 2013 through June 25th, 2013. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. There's quite a few here, but this is basically to close out the last fiscal year. Okay, we'll do the accruals and such. The first one is $2,000 into Justice Court Personal from supplies. Second was $18,005 into Clerk Personal Services, with $6,000 coming from Justice Court Supplies, $7,000 from Justice Court Contractual, $4,500 from Building Clothing, and $1,000 from Insurance. Third one is $500 to Law Personal, coming from Village Clerk Supplies. Fourth one is $2,250 into Central Garage Personnel, $25 into overtime, $700 into equipment, $200 into telephone, all coming from Central Garage Contractual, $3,175. Next is $17,500 in Buildings Personal, $35.50 into Buildings Equipment, coming from Buildings Contractual, $21,050. Next one is $13,000 into Police Personal, $10,000 into Police Seasonal, coming from Police Holiday Vacations, $23,000. Next one is $5,000 in radio operators overtime, coming from radio operators personnel. Next one is $500 into fire personnel, coming from fire equipment. Next one is $5,000 into safety inspectors personnel, $900 into safety inspector equipment, with $1,600 coming from safety inspectors overtime, and $3,300 from safety inspectors part-time. Next one is $11,500 in street maintenance personnel, $10,300 into street maintenance equipment, and $100 into street maintenance miscellaneous, all coming from street maintenance contractual, $21,900. Next one is $5,000 into Parks Personal, $6,600 into Parks Equipment, with $2,400 coming from Parks Supplies, $3,000 from Parks Contractual, and $6,200 from Street Maintenance Contractual. And the last one is $3,700 into Cooper's salaries, $100 into Cooper's Contractual, $4,200 into Employee Benefits Social Security, with $8,000 coming from Employee Benefits Medical. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approve the performance Shakespeare in the Park on August 16th and 17th at 7:30 p.m. in Agawam Park. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What are the days on that? What are those?
August 16th and
No, but
17th.
like, what days a week they on? Say, do it middle of the week, isn't it? Or is that weekend?
It's a Friday and Saturday.
It is.
All right, discussion items. The first one we have is, last board meeting, we had a presentation by Lombardo and Associates with regard to restoration, proposed restoration program of Lake Agawam, which is calling for an initial study of $25,000, 12 of which would come from the village, and then he had a proposal to go for these grants, and, you know, subject to what comes out of those studies, we circulated, the agreement to everybody with the intent of voting on it tonight with regard to whether we wanted to go forward to it with that proposal.
Can we have discussion?
I'm sorry?
Can we have discussion?
Sure,
here
absolutely.
before we-
That's why I brought it up, yeah. So, go
Well,
ahead.
first of all, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And there isn't anybody who'd like to clean up the lake more than I would, but I keep thinking we have so many other items that we're involved in at the moment. We have the old parish grounds. We have this building. We have sewage treatment that we're facing. It's a lot of money.
Mhm.
And my only concern about doing this is going forward with the 12,500. If they put it, if other people put in the 12,500, so we've invested $25,000 into something that we may not be able to move forward with. So that's my real concern.
Mhm.
And by the time that we possibly can, maybe the technology will have changed. And I also think there's no guarantee on this. We're like the first people to do it.
That's correct.
And from what they were saying, it's $8 million. And with, I mean, $8 million is a lot of money at this point. And believe me, I'd love to be able to do it. If we didn't have all these other things on our plate at the moment, I would say, oh, let's go for it. But I'm a little concerned about everything else. So that's my thinking.
If you approve the 12.5, the 25, are you also approving then the whole?
Well, I
plan?
mean, the next step with that is, you know, to go forward with the whole proposal, which, you know, you're looking at another $440,000, and, you know, there's various grants, you know, that he feels that we would be eligible for. But the question is, we still, you know, you're still coming out of pocket a couple $100,000 through the fall of this year. You know, it's a three-step program. The first one is obviously, you know, doing the study of the levels in the lake, and then the next step is, you know, designing this program
But
and
if you
laying
do
out additional.
the 25, have you bought the 400 or 500?
No, that's just the study of finding what's in there.
So
But the
you're only
question
committing
is-
yourself to the 20, because I certainly agree with my cohort here, and
Right.
have the feeling, just listening to that presentation, that, you know, will it work? What impact will it have? That piece of land that we have over there, I'm not sure what was really going to become of that, but I had reservations about it, and of course, nobody seemed to have any answers on what happens to the wildlife that's
Right.
there. How do you stop them from doing their thing and all that sort of thing? So I had a lot of reservations about it. If we're spending $12,500, that's one thing. I mean, at least then you hear the story. But if we're committing to more than that, I don't think I'm ready to do that.
Well, Nancy, one issue that you just barely touched on that I think is important to the whole
I know what you're going to say.
the whole thing is it's a great project, great concept, and a very feasible thing, especially with the lot that's available there. But maybe with wastewater management becoming a greater and greater importance, especially in this village, rather than start picking specific things for Lake Agawam, we should look at overall use of our wastewater.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes a review of a number of the smaller ponds. And some of those smaller ponds are in far dire need of attention than Agawam, although Agawam is our center point. Certainly Old Town is a real area to look at. So I think it's a great concept, but it should be incorporated in the overall view of wastewater management.
I also think I was very pleased to see in the report how much, how improved the lake has become over the last several years. I mean, I couldn't get over that, and I realize that they're tackling something totally different from what the report was written on, but I was very pleased with that. Not to say that that's the end of it all. It isn't. We obviously have more issues over there, but my concern is that we have a lot of issues, and we've you know, it's almost like get in line here, and we've really committed to several of other issues before that. And in my mind, their priority at this point, because we've already committed to them, it's not something that I agree with you completely about this. I mean, so I don't know. I'm hesitant in going forward with it at this point, because I think it's something we can't finish at this point. So we're starting
It's a
something.
big number.
Yeah. So.
I agree with all the points brought up. Each one, I like Mike's point about looking at the bigger picture as opposed to, you know, we have bigger issues as far as managing waste, water. So, but again, also points brought up, you know, even though it's just a couple of bucks now, but I think it's very disingenuous to commit to it and then pull out down the road. So, you know, in my opinion, whenever, if you're not going to go with it, then you don't do it. And again, I think there are many other projects. You know, if it's eventually going to cost us bonding out $2 to $4 million, like I said, we got some buildings. The ambulance needs a build. You know, there are things that we're waiting to do and people waiting in line. So, as great of an idea is to restore this, as you pointed out, just the work we've done so far in reducing the runoff has already made an impact in a positive way. So that's just a start. But again, I too think it's a great idea. But I think there's just more important things that impact the public in a grander way that take more priority. So.
No, and also I think that when they were discussing it, and you know, they're talking about grants that may become available, and you know, if we didn't get the grants, what it would end up costing the taxpayer. I was a little shocked by that. I mean, it was a lot of money.
It was $2 million without grants. I mean, it was $4 million without grants, $2 million with grants. So you still, you know, for a couple of million, I don't know. Got a lot of things we can do that with. Again, not to take away the importance of that, but so. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement that it's a little too early, too premature to engage this person in the conversation to hire him for this. So I guess we'll.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too.
Okay.
But I think we should keep this concept.
Oh yeah, no,
on the
I'd like to
table
revisit
because
it
it is-
again.
yeah, absolutely.
We can definitely revisit it again at,
Yeah.
you know, when we feel we're not just overwhelmed with everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't want to.
But I don't
I think it'll
it's
play
just,
with the waterways, the
yeah.
wastewater as we
Yeah,
I
go
yeah.
don't think
forward
it's
with
just
that.
finances.
Right.
It's you need to develop an overall
Right.
plan.
Okay.
So let's tell them that, you know, just not yet.
Right. Yeah, I already
I mean,
prepped them for,
you're
you
right.
know,
Okay.
where we're going with this.
Thanks.
Rich, number 2? Rick, rather.
Okay, well, the big one.
The mayor asked me to prepare and submit to you today a draft local law. As you know, under the existing code, section 80-1A of the village code generally prohibits commercial activity on the ocean beach. If the board were going to consider allowing operation of a surf school at some location, you can't even do that without first creating an exception to the commercial activity prohibition. So this draft local law would create an exception, and we have exceptions to our beach regulations in various spots in the code. This would be another one that would potentially allow a surf school if they get a license from the Village Board of Trustees and if they comply with all the rules and regulations and conditions that you might impose in connection with that. So this is a first step. The mayor thought it would be a good idea to have a public hearing on this whole topic so that those for it and against it can speak at a public hearing, and not be restricted by the public comment time limitations, etc. So he's asking that you schedule a public hearing on this for July 11th. So if you schedule a public hearing, then we would put a notice in the newspaper, and there would be a public hearing on the July 11 agenda, and all the issues can be discussed, including the other steps that would come into play if you were going to move forward with something, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think going ahead with the public hearing part is a no-brainer because this has clearly come to a head, and there will be a chance for basically, you can see one side of the room go against the other side of the room. But before we even get to that part, does any members of the board have any questions or comments to ask Rick now as far as, I know it's just a first blush with this, but anybody have any questions or comments to him now before?
Okay. Just so you're aware, it's obvious from reading it, this is a local law in general form, similar to what we did with, when we started requiring permits for outdoor special events on the ocean beach, and when we started allowing outdoor sidewalk dining on the village sidewalk, in conjunction with a local law amendment that created an exception. We also adopted rules and regulations that go with that, and the benefit of having rules and regulations is that you can change them from time to time by resolution without having to go through the delay of a public hearing and a local law, etc. So there would be rules and regulations that would go with this. I know the mayor has some ideas on what those rules and regulations should be. Restricted hours of operation, restricted days of operation,
Restricted numbers, I believe.
limitation on the number of people attending the surf school. The location would have to be determined, what location on the ocean beach, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all things that can be discussed and commented on at the public hearing at the July meeting.
So clearly, we're going to try to address all the concerns that have come up.
Right.
Who can use what, when, and where, and how.
Right.
Everybody agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right.
Schedule a
Need
public
a
hearing.
resolution to schedule a public hearing on this draft local law on at the July 11th meeting.
Okay.
Got a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second? All in
Second?
favor?
Aye.
Hmm?
I made the motion
Bill-
and he
Bill made the
seconded it.
motion. Okay. That's it with discussion items. Comments from board members. Trustee Urban?
Just to sort of carry on the issue of Lake Agawam and studies of its doing a remediation of the water system there. On Friday, of this past Friday, a number of people attended a symposium in Riverhead on wastewater management. A number of them came from our planning commission, which was great to see, and there were a number of others that were just concerned citizens that attended, and that was great stuff that they did that. They took their time. It was a fairly lengthy symposium, and it was good that they were in attendance. Overall, we need in this village to develop a long-term and jointed effort in controlling our wastewater. It is really sort of antiquated that we're all using septic rings, and we need to move forward on it and protect our groundwaters. We have a number of ponds in conjunction to Lake Agawam. Lake Agawam obviously is our focal point, but the other ponds also have a tremendous amount of runoff, and a lot of them do have problems as they are now. So I would urge that we all go forward and formulate almost a master plan on what we're going to do on our stormwater management, as opposed to just attack individual areas.
Trustee McGann?
Well, I think one of the things I want to do is thank everyone who got out to vote. we're in for another 2 years. Look forward to it. Like doing the job, so I'm very happy that I was reelected, and I thank you all for supporting me.
I want to thank everybody for supporting you, too,
Okay?
because you're terrific.
Aren't you nice?
And as is our mayor.
Mhm.
I just finished my 25th year on various boards, so I'm happy to go beyond that. Just one other thing, we got an email from Gary about Mr. Bennett's retirement. Is that anything we should discuss now, or? can it wait,
He
or-
actually came in yesterday. I mean, he's been out for quite a while. I've been speaking with him as far as when he was going to do it. He just wanted to hang in there and, use up his accrued time.
Yes.
So he came in yesterday and announced that yesterday was his last day.
Well,
So
no,
are we going to
notes.
replace him? That's my real question.
Well, we have to address the staffing on that.
Okay.
Of course, Gary is asking if we are, but we'll look at where we are in total. We have
Good.
a couple other people that are out in that department that we have to
Sure.
address at some point in time.
He's been with the village for a long time,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
I think so.
Something here.
20-something years.
20-something, like Bill. 25, congratulations, by the way. 25.
Yeah,
Great.
good for you.
28 cents gas.
He doesn't remember that.
Okay. Right, then, I just want to, remind everybody that next week, 4th of July parade here in Southampton Village, starting at Railwood Plaza at 10 a.m. So it is always a great parade, and I thank everybody in advance, our highway, parks department, building maintenance, all the crews from the DPW, police department, and all the first responders that will be out there to make sure everything goes smoothly and safely. If the last couple of weekends with people coming out are any indication, and with the U.S. Women's Open here, people around, so we should be a busy next week or so, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it, get out, enjoy the Open, everything that the area has to offer, and then get out and enjoy, have a safe and happy 4th of July. So,
Rich, can I just add something to that? After the parade, the Southampton Center is going to be sponsoring a whole family type of circus on the grounds at 25 Jobs Lane.
okay.
Directly following after the parade. There'll be the Binklestock Family Circus there. There'll be a carousel, all kinds of kids' activities. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a nice program. So
And that's
it's
immediately following
immediately
the
following the
parade.
parade, and it's going to run through the afternoon.
There you go. Next door, 25 Jones
Where will
Lane.
that be?
25 Jobs on
Next door,
the west
25
side
Jobs.
of the old parish grounds.
My grandchildren might be out, so.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Carousel
I'll
for you.
circulate a schedule to everybody, but it's quite a fun-filled day.
That's great.
Good.
Perfect. Any other events or anything that I missed that need to?
We are, I should have it within a day or two. I do have a draft copy here of the programming that's going to happen there starting July 11th. There's going to be something going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for every weekend through the last weekend in August. And there'll be films, there'll be displays, there'll be art, there'll be demonstrations, there'll be children's lectures. The Quogue Wildlife Rescue is coming in one day, introducing the children to, wild animals and how to keep them safe and so on and so forth. So the educational programs, we're having 10,000 of these programs printed up, which should be in our hands within the next day or two. And we'll distribute at the library, the chamber, obviously here, and any, the schools, so that people are aware of what's going on. But it'll be starting July 11th, and something Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, for the 5 or the 6 or 7 weeks throughout the summer.
Very good. Awesome.
Some indoor, some outdoor, but it should be good.
Yes. Obviously, be in the front of the kiosk, right? All the village
Yeah,
kiosks.
we'll have it here, and Rogers Memorial Library, the chamber, we're going to, the cultural center, try to get into the Hampton Jitney, the, train stations, wherever people can get their hands on it.
Very good.
It's a nice, comprehensive program.
Nice. Nice job.
Just got to get people in.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's all free, no charge.
free as well. Okay, great. So everybody keep an eye for those flyers and notes and paper of all the activities going at 25 Jobs Lane, starting that's next week starting.
The kickoff is really July 11th,
July
but
11th, okay.
we are having, the Family Activity Day, July 4th, after the parade,
Okay,
on the grounds.
perfect. Okay. Any other comments, sir? Anybody? Okay. That being that, go to second public comment. Anybody in the public have anything they'd like to comment on? Okay, seeing no. And we do not have an executive session.
Right.
Okay, so we don't have an executive session, so I just move to adjourn
Mhm.
the public work session for
Second.
June 25th.
Second.
In
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay.